the universe was making me embody what I present in this film and saying, you cannot come out and try to say this in the way that you've said it unless you literally can embody it. And instead of creating my reality, I just changed my perception. And I think that that is actually a metaphor for coexisting together. There's a skill of changing your perception, but you can always be like, but I still like the way that I believe things. Okay, great. But changing perception and being okay with it is a whole other skill set and
Mm.
allows you to translate information through your being in a way that doesn't allow fear to trap itself into parts of your soul, your being, your body, your 3D existence, in this reality.
Picture Indiana Jones, the hat, the temples, the search for something buried and sacred. Now picture a woman who actually lived it. An Emmy, ancient aliens, head of content at Gaia. By every measure the machine uses to say you've made it, she'd made it. But the higher that she climbed, the emptier it got. So she walked away. On her own terms, she built Hathor Studios and then Source, 5 million people, 120 countries. Her boldest work yet asks the question underneath everything. What if the beliefs that we defend were never ours to begin with? This is about leaving the machine and building what comes next. Her new film, Illusion, Greg Braden, Matthias DiStefano, astrophysicist Avi Loeb, Dr. Harry Rivera Duhenio, Veda Austin, decodes the nature of reality itself. Let's dive in.
Everything that we experience that's bad, war, negative emotions, pain, and if we could reduce the decoherence, we would experience bliss.
I want to take you on a journey.
It will need to be an amazing event of interstellar proportions where we would notice that we were very limited in the way we thought about reality.
Were they using technology through sound?
From the point of view of the ancient civilizations, the universe is a song.
The aerial layout of Borobudur matches up perfectly with a frequency on the Chladni plate.
I'm just one cymatic code.
The image of you is the projection of the information field.
So it's influencing your consciousness.
There is a greater architect that is driving this entire reality.
Melissa, I think you're onto something.
What we might see in our reality could just be a geometric imprint. Would you believe me?
And you roll up on your motorcycle and you're doing covert ops in the desert and meeting clandestine. And, you sort of remind me of this like quintessential version of, Harrison Ford, but the female version, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like you actually really hold that archetype for me. And when I watch your movies, you say, let's go on a journey. And I'm like, yes, let's. Like, you're that girl for me that I'm like, I want her to be my friend because I want to go ride motorcycles and fly planes and go to Egypt and you have created this work and this life where you have left the traditional world of film and television, where you've won Emmys and you're a producer and a big deal for Netflix and HBO. And then you've spent years making television. And then at some point there was a big shift for you. You put a different hat on. And what I want to start so that our audience understands the nod is, what was that shift where you went into Code 12 and Illusion that caused you to really question reality, obviously, and then to not just question it, but then to actually pursue understanding the big question: who are we? Why are we here? No small questions. Let's dive in.
Yeah. I always had this desire to be part of film that was making a difference, even when I worked in Hollywood. I worked at Paramount Studios even before I did any docu-series type of TV. And, I worked on Mission Impossible 2 and Star Trek and, a bunch of other ones, some comedies. And I left that. I remember telling my boss, I'm like, I'm going to take this job producing this new docu-series with NASA and the History Channel called The Universe. And he was like, what? You're going to leave film to do stupid docu-TV? And I'm like, yeah, because I love this stuff. I'm a huge nerd and I just want to be part of something I feel like people are learning from. So, I mean, even before transitioning to Gaia and leaving Hollywood and running head of content there for 5.5 years, I was always there, it was just, but I'm going to tell you something that I've actually never said on a podcast before.
Spill the beans, girl.
It's a personal story. So Hollywood is great. It's great for your resume. It's trial by fire. I mean, you can go to school for TV and film, but surviving in Hollywood and making films and learning how it all works is a hard game. And I did it. And there was this moment where, I take job for job. So I work a network on this job or this production company over here. And I was just kind of freelance doing different production jobs, different producing gigs and executive producing and writing and whatever. It just came to this moment where it was in between some really bad reality shows I didn't want to have to do. And there was some other decisions I had to make. And I thought, oh, I get it. So the higher you move up, the worse the content you're creating and the least amount of options you have, and you're just doing it for money. And none of this has anything to do with using your talent or making a difference. And so I had to pay my bills and I wasn't accepting any of these jobs. So I'll never forget this moment. So I went to one of those Mexican grocery stores and I bought a plethora of those Jesus candles with like Mother Mary and everything on them. You know what I'm talking about? Those white candles.
Yeah.
And I lit all of them.
Love
and I
them.
sat in the middle and I said to the universe, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not making any more decisions. I don't know what you want me to do. This is what I desire to do. These are my options. I don't like them. I don't want to do this. It's not my path. You tell me what to do. So I let those burn all night. And the
You're like,
next
I give up.
What's that?
You're like, I give up.
I give up. I like literally, I'm like, I give up. I give up. I give up. I honestly don't have an answer to this. I'm not even going to try. The next morning, all the candles were burned out. I let them burn all overnight. Thank God my apartment didn't burn down. And I got an email from this institution called Gaia. Never heard of them, honestly, before. We are really interested in your work. Would you come and meet us? We're in LA. And all I wrote back was, because I didn't know who they were, I just wrote back, do you have money?
Show me your money.
Like not even a capitalization or yeah. Like, let's just get to it because I don't want to deal with this, like you and your pet project. I have no time for this. And they said yes. And I said, okay. So I met them and I transitioned I left Hollywood, moved to Colorado, head of content at Gaia. But it was one of those moments where, and I think a lot of people probably listening to your work and your podcast, you always know where you're supposed to end up. And I wasn't necessarily supposed to end up in Gaia, but following your path, sometimes you literally have to be like, okay, I don't know. The answer's not here in 3D. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm going to buy a bunch of Jesus candles and I'm going to give up. You just tell me what to do.
And I'm going to take my Jesus candles, my motorcycle, and I'm going to the desert.
Exactly.
And then you invite everyone to come with you. So here we are.
Exactly. So here we are. So that kind of made a hard pivot because I was leaving the institution, the respected institution, to go into this industry a little bit deeper. And then eventually left Gaia 5.5 years later and started my own company, Hathor Studios. And now we're a sovereign company and I have my motorcycle and my Mustang and I can travel the world.
With your hair blown in the wind. So this is an incredible story because, of course, it's the quintessential I'm leaving behind where I'm supposed to be because it's good money and because it's where you're supposed to be and it's the ladder that you climb. And then suddenly you wake up one day and you realize I'm climbing the wrong mountain. This is not the mountain I want to climb. And so you took a hard right off the freeway because you were going fast on the freeway, cheeks flapping in the wind and doing the whole thing. Did everyone question you? Who are your biggest supporters? Did you have people going, Melissa, we believe in you? Or were you just like a total rogue?
No. They were like, what? Where? what network? I mean, in fact, when I worked at Gaia for the first 3 years, nobody in Hollywood knew what Gaia was. Oh my God, the rumors from my friends circle was, oh, she just moved to the mountains. Not that I was working or that I was head of content of a whole network and I was working my ass off. And, I had 30 people reporting to me plus, no, she just disappeared. And I would tell them what I was doing and they're like, never heard of it. So it must not be valid, must not be real content,
Isn't this true that when you're out in the world and you step away from the consensus reality and you make the decision to say, I'm not sure that this is my reality, what drove you from obviously a place of deep alignment and actually listening, which is amazing, to really encourage people to go within and to know thyself? So I'd love it if you
100%.
take that whole concept and just elaborate on it for us.
From my personal standpoint or from the movie standpoint?
Are they separate?
Not really. I mean, they're all part of the journey, I guess. I just didn't know if you wanted me to keep going on this this Melissa journey.
I love the Melissa journey because that is the whole spine and the backbone of what you're creating out in the world. And you're using that internal compass to do so. And you're on ThriveCast. ThriveEvolution is all about the evolutionary journey of the personal journey, but also of the civilizational evolution. I understand, I'm sure that while you were filming, you had your own personal journey and you discovered things that really probably caused you to stop in your tracks and question everything that you know up to this point.
100%. And I mean, some of our greatest attributes can also become our greatest faults. And I think for me, I'm always kind of pessimistically optimistic, which means I love a new perspective, but I always want to know where it comes from. Okay, that's cool. Let me chew on that. But where does it come from?
Why?
So although that makes me, in a way, a journalist that asks more questions, it also sometimes gets me all tied up because it doesn't allow anything to settle. And so what I've found by making this movie and a transition from Code 12, where, I'm gonna make fun of myself for a little bit here. At the end of Code 12, I drive off into the sunset and I'm like, I'm gonna find an answer. And that's kind of it. And then picking it up in Illusion with, okay, here's the anomaly that I was putting together with 12 and realizing, and I show this journey to a point in the documentary that realizing the numbers are an anomaly and its connection to all of these spiritual texts and mythologies and the way we tell stories is an anomaly. However, there's something way bigger at play. And I would say halfway through filming and putting things together, there's like so much frustration with this project. And it was weird. It was like at one point I realized, I'm like, oh, it's me. It's me. I was like, I'm a human. So I was trying to find fault with somebody on my team, or there's a program that wasn't working or whatever. But at the end of the day, the universe was making me embody what I present in this film and saying, you cannot come out and try to say this in the way that you've said it unless you literally can embody it. And it was so frustrating. I mean, I was like 4 months behind on making this film because it was just me. I was standing in the way of the evolution of what the film was trying to bring into the world. And this is what we do when we are trying to manifest or create something different or bring new attributes into our life. And if you watch the movie, we talk a lot about geometry, changing your geometric structure in the world. What happens is we're really good at this concept of it, but to really embody it from the inside out is so hard. And I know that's cliche because everybody talks about that, but it was this moment that I had never felt before, where it was like, no, you are going somewhere that you really have to know this inside of you because you just cannot say it. You can't say it on camera. You know how many there was scenes I had to reshoot at least 4 or 5 times because the vibration of what I was saying was not in alignment with what I was saying. And I could feel it in edit. By the way, you probably know this too, but watching yourself, editing yourself, and being part of something that you're looking at yourself is awful. It's just
painful.
Awful.
It's painful.
Yeah, it's painful. You're like, God, oh my God, I look terrible, and I say stupid things, whatever. But this was like a vibrational thing, and I'm like, ew, what is that? because it wasn't true. It wasn't true, and I had to go back and reshoot it. Yeah, it was, and it was painful. But at the end, I even say this in the documentary that I really started to look at my relationships and the things that I had brought in my life so far and the things that I was going for, and I really started to look at it in the way that we present in the documentary of cupping away the story into these geometric existences, and it blew my mind. And then literally the film's done. And it was just such a metaphor for life. I was like, oh my God, how many books did I have to read on this stuff? Or how many people did I have to interview and make shows about this? And here I was in my own little conundrum the whole time.
And is a conundrum another word for your own personal reality that you were creating through your beliefs?
Yeah, exactly. And then trying to show people what their reality was, and then living in my own. And instead of creating my reality, I changed my perception. And I think that that is actually a metaphor for coexisting together. We have to create a reality of which the things that we get attached to and believe. I mean, it's impossible. We're living in 3D reality. But there's a skill of changing your perception of which you don't disregard your beliefs per se, but you're able to change your perception so you understand. But you can always be like, but I still like the way that I believe things. Okay, great. But changing perception and being okay with it is a whole other skill set, and allows you to translate information through your being in a way that doesn't allow fear to trap itself into knots in different parts of your soul, your being, your body, your 3D existence in this reality.
One of the things that I love is that you chose such an eclectic array of humans to be in the cast. All of them are so unique. And you had Veda Austin, Greg Braden, Matthias DiStefano, just this incredible array, technology through the Raw Show. And all of these people are so unique with such different perspectives. And what I really found fascinating is that you put a Harvard astrophysicist, a super hard skeptic. And I have to admit, I looked at that and I went, oh, interesting. And you were like, let's talk. And you sat down. What was that play for you?
First of all, this is a mainstream play. You cannot make a documentary in any mainstream TV without bringing in another view. It doesn't have to be a skeptic, but you've got to find someone that says, I don't believe in any of this, and this is why. You've got to create that in mainstream TV, a way to balance out what you're talking about. I mostly think documentarians use it as a way to actually prove their point more. But in this case, I really wanted the audience to know that at one point I thought, well, maybe I'm just kind of crazy. Somebody show me enough evidence to prove that I'm crazy or not crazy. And personally, I just really wanted to have a conversation with him. I mean, he's been working on this for like 30 years, and he has his own funded division where he went out and tested all of these different kinds of paranormal, supernatural events and claims by people. And at the end, I mean, obviously the investigation continued, because I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of not enough for me to just walk away. And I think that's important. And you know, it was funny because we did a premiere in Austin, and I had a bunch of people come up to me after the movie and say, I have to admit, I was a little scared when in the beginning there was a skeptic, because I thought, where is this going? But good, because where is this going?
I have to admit, I thought the same thing. And it's healthy. It's really healthy. And I love that you made that choice. I really want to talk about illusion, and this is like you're at that liminal edge of where you're really pushing the boundaries. You're pushing the boundaries in so many different ways that I want to, first of all, commend you for the work you're doing in the film. I'm telling all my friends about it. I'm like, you guys have to watch this film. So where are you at now that you're now doing all this work, this love, this sweat, this labor, these tears, and it's obviously a labor of love for you to take this creation and then give it to the world?
Well, I think there's a different format that I've really tried to embrace with my company, even though it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Running a company and trying to be creative, I mean, like, wow. For all of you out there, just if you want to do something really hard, please do it. And call me. It sucks.
Well, tell us, because Melissa, I'll just say this before you launch into that, is that a huge part of our audience are entrepreneurs. They're entrepreneurs that are
amazing.
Yeah, and so if you can give them some golden nuggets, because it's just they're stepping out and they're taking chances, and a lot of them are in the business of change. They're in transformation. They're in human potential. They're out there wanting to make the world a better place. And then they're constantly reconciling that with, well, who am I and how am I lining up in a coherent way with what I want to birth and to give to the world? And there's often a disconnect there that is a really profound thing. And I know that's something that you've been really working on.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that always bothered me about the machine, and then of course the spiritual, I'll call it the spiritual machine as well. I mean, because there is one, that it feels like we're all operating in really old principles that aren't working. Even I talk to my colleagues in Hollywood, and like I still go back and forth to LA quite often, and the whole machine is dying, but like nobody wants to even look at it, and it's so amazing to me that we're having conversations I had 20 years ago with these people, and I'm like, but this is not the business, and I know it.
It is changing and evolving very rapidly right now.
So fast. So it's like crazy that we're having these really old conversations as if nothing's happening right now. Anyway, and then the spiritual machine is its own kind of thing that goes the other direction, where it's like everyone's just supposed to collaborate and work together, but that never happens because business isn't like kumbaya in a fire pit and everybody's holding hands and being like, I'm going to help you.
Wait. It's not.
I know. I'm sorry. Anybody listening, I hate to burst your bubble.
Business is like really hard.
I know. I just sometimes I'm like, oh man, no, that's not going to work. Anyway, but there's a really nice space that I think is good for everybody. I call it this like win-win space, where it's this is what I'm doing for my business. What would be a good win-win for you? And usually that person, if they want to have that conversation. I've literally had people say, no, I won't do business with you. That makes no sense. And then I thought, well, we shouldn't do business anyway, because obviously you want me to lose and you to win. So, but when you do like a win-win business strategy, you are still in the business mode of being able to grow your business while saying to them, not the words collaboration, because collaboration suggests we're going to hold hands and sit by the fire. Maybe it's just a different version of the word, but it's a win-win. So what would be a good equal balance of energy for you if I would like this over here? And then the conversation really becomes equally, everybody wins at the same time. Now, why that doesn't work in regular business, as far as the industry or, any regular industry, if you will, is because it's all about, well, how do I get more? How do I get ahead? How do I become the most popular? How do I do a deal that I feel satisfied, that I'm winning and I'm making more money, and the other person settles because they have to get here? And I just feel that that's the old way of talking about things. And frankly, it's like everybody always says, oh, it's just a game. And it's like, okay, well, I would like to play. You can play Candyland and I want to play Monopoly. So if you want to play Monopoly, I'd like you to come over here and I'd love to play. But Candyland, I'm done. You go play Candyland with someone else. And I say it to everybody that I work with. What is a good win-win strategy for both of us? How do you feel that you're getting something out of this? And then how do I feel like I'm getting something out of this? And I think that's the best way to look at it. You're still going to deal with business and money and contracts and working through some hard things together. But this idea that we're just going to like collab and help each other, that's just too gray. And it's not necessarily structured in a way that everybody does win. And you want to show results feels like the old structure, but you want to feel validated in your decision making, and you can only do that if you created a structure to validate the structure.
It's like you both have a goal, you both have an endpoint or a target, and you can agree that somewhere between those two you can still have your own targets individually, but in between there's a mutual target that creates that win-win.
Right.
I love that. I love that so much. And this is something I didn't actually think we were going to go here, but I'm going here because here we are.
I love it. I love it. We can probably talk for 5 hours, so this is great.
Yeah, I know. It's super fun. Let's go. The divine feminine. And again, even that is so loaded. So many of these terms have been just cloaked in this like false sort of, oh God, the false Shekinah, whatever we want to call it. it's icky now. Like all the stuff that we sort of realized was just an evolution of maybe the older structures that we just got caught up in a newer structure that was still the same control structure that trapped us in the beginning. It's just a different net. It's just a different web. And so now here we are evolving again into finding ways to stay coherent and authentic with using the words, but nothing's fitting anymore. So you know that we're evolving rapidly. When you go to say something, you're like, but it's not quite it. And it's like human language isn't even encompassing or able to articulate what it is a lot of the time that I want to say. And I enjoy using words to form ideas and to express and communicate. And yet they're falling really short these days, which is telling me a lot. And yet I'm looking at symbolism and I'm looking at geometry and sound and vibration. That's lighting me up because I'm looking at it and going, well, now we're talking, because that's a language that transcends English or French or German or Spanish or human language that's existed for millennia, that's on the walls of temples called Hathor that we're putting our hands on, and it's speaking to us before we even know what it says.
Yep.
That story's crazy, by the way.
I know. That story is crazy. I was at the Temple of Hathor. I've been there many times. It was in July, so it was 120 degrees. No one was there. I love that temple. It's absolutely beautiful. And it just to set it up, there's a hall when you walk in, and then there's a Holy of Holies, and around the Holy of Holies is 13 rooms. And one of those rooms I just felt called to go into, and I can't read hieroglyphs to that point of really understanding the whole story. And I found this place on the wall, and I put my hands on the wall, and I put my forehead in between. And I had this profound experience where, I guess in my human words, I felt every single emotion in the entire universe at once. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just intense. It was so crazy. The craziest part was kind of got off the wall. I was like, whoa, that was crazy. And the Egyptologist that we were with came in the room, and he was mad at me because he said, where have you been? I guess I had missing time for like 2 hours. And they were really upset. They thought something bad happened to me. Of course, I didn't want to explain that maybe I fell into another dimension of time space, or maybe I really did go somewhere. I have no idea. But I guess the crazy thing was, I didn't say anything, by the way. I didn't say anything. I was like, how am I going to explain that? They're going to think I'm even crazier besides the missing 2 hours. Every night for about 2 weeks after that, I had a dream where I was back in the temple, and all of the hieroglyphs came out. There's like bright blue, and the hieroglyphs turned into all these mathematical calculations. I have no idea what it means, and I really don't think I'm supposed to solve what it is. I think what it became was a symbolism for the kind of energy and frequency I wanted to bring into my company. And you know what I love about it? I love that there could be this secret mathematical code in a temple dedicated to a goddess who's about beauty and dance and creation. She's not even the mysterious goddess. She's not like Isis, who's mysterious and all about magic. She's kind of like the popcorn, like the pretty one or something. and hidden in this temple could be this universal code, but no one is looking. They're all over here and all of this other stuff. And I thought, that's such an Egypt thing to do, encode it in a place that nobody would look, which would be the pretty temple dedicated to the goddess of dance and music and love and, pretty things. And I just thought it was hilarious. But anyway, when I started my company, I thought I want to call my company Hathor Studios because I want to embody whatever that is. I can't necessarily define it in human words, but whatever that is, I would love to bring to people through this work.
It's so good. If we are really instruments that play reality, what's the one note you're trying to get us all to hold, Melissa?
I would say your note. Like, what instrument in the orchestra are you? We can't all be a tuba. We can't all play the drums. And the important part is that we're all different pieces of expressing the universe. We're all different pieces of an orchestra. So if you think of singularity as this massive amount of different musical instruments, and the thing with an orchestra is that there's different times for those instruments to play together. They don't all go at once. It's a beautiful piece of music. We are part of that beautiful piece of music. You are a certain instrument that plays a certain tune at the right time, at the right place, but we don't grasp that because we're all trying to do the same thing we have these same goals, be powerful, be in love, express yourself. Yes, yes, but how and where and who are you? If we really start to settle into what we are, it's less about this concept of being these things we see on social media and more like, what's my true north? Like, I think we suffer when we try to figure it out through everybody else's geometric expressions. I wrote something about this and I told somebody, I'm not going to tell you to follow your heart because your heart can be deceiving sometimes. Not that you shouldn't use your heart to express yourself, but it could be a political statement. It could be,
Yeah.
it's a political, follow your heart,
Mm-hmm.
No, follow your true north and express through your heart what and who you are. I think is a different way to look at that, and finding out who you are and what you're here to express is such a deep process.
As humanity continues to evolve, Melissa, what's the one question that we should be asking ourselves?
Who are you and what are you here to express? What's your contribution to the whole? So you're not here to heal. You're here to become an instrument of which you play reality.
One of our sayings here that we love is we are the technology, that human beings are so extraordinarily powerful and that we are here to discover what it is that our unique puzzle piece is in the grand symphony that is life. So that is on point and beautiful. Thank you so much, Melissa, for
Thank
coming on the ThriveCast.
you.
It has been fun and illuminating and amazing. We'll be watching July 24th to 26th. Everybody, the show notes are down below. And go and give Melissa some love. She is creating beautiful things in the world. May the force be with you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.